was going to say something else.
Uh-oh.
It is official that we have lost our memory capacity because we're always looking for the instant response, and we cannot even memorize of a number. It's been proven that we have lost that ability to memorize things, names, numbers, and things as other people did, right, Jennifer? That you can
Yes.
memorize a lot of things. So yeah,
That's
I
sad.
can even memorize a phone number these days.
I have almost all my family's phone numbers memorized and most of my friends, but I cannot remember a person I meet's name.
Right.
So it's bad.
See,
Because we
I don't
have the
know.
information at our fingertips, right? Like Google, Alexa, and just, you know, we have answers whenever we need them. We don't have to retain information. So we have underdeveloped that skill.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. I still think to an extent we as people memorize pertinent information because, like, that's the thing. It's like phone numbers aren't super pertinent anymore. As long as you can remember one phone number of someone, you can get the rest of your contacts. Therefore, you only need to memorize 1 to 2 phone numbers.
Yep.
But as to like other, like for my job, like there's just a lot of stuff I have to memorize, or I'd suck at my job. So
Exactly.
that wasn't hard for me to memorize. So to an extent, yeah, we've lost that, but we've only lost it to the extent of, oh, hey, that's no longer totally necessary. And our brain's like, well, that's fine. And you go, see ya.
Agreed.
Brain dump it.
But it's
All
something
right.
that you can develop. You practice it.
Oh yeah, you can develop any skill really. Okay, so looks like what 1, 2, 3, 4 other groups have already done it. So I was looking at some of theirs. They're pretty straightforward, just basically go through the stuff. So has anyone done the personal midterm review yet?
Yeah.
Okay, did anybody have questions from that they wanted to go over?
It was good because there were a lot of questions that were asked, and in some instances, Brother Hood answered after a couple of us had given our answers, then he would answer also. So it's nice that way.
Yeah, I agree. There were some good answers from him on there. And then you left some nice links in there.
Minimum wage.
One thing I struggled with was price elasticity. Because I texted Daniel this, but I'm pretty sure that the group thing we did had the actual like overview, the equation in the overview was wrong. And so it was throwing me off because it's not what's in the book.
For what activity?
For the last activity.
This one right here. Because the equation in the book is percent change in quantity is quantity 2 minus quantity 1 divided by blah 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 blah. Anyways, and so I got completely different answers from everybody else in the entire class because it looked like most people just did this for gasoline, but it didn't look right to me. Any thoughts?
So with your issue with that question, is it that the math in that graphic doesn't make sense, or that it doesn't match the equation in the book?
Both.
Okay, so I don't know about the book per se, but as far as that equation example goes, I think it does make sense. I think because I was going back and I was double checking it. So we do 10,000 minus 9,800. What is that?
But you shouldn't do that.
Isn't that quantity?
That's
where's-
quantity 1 minus quantity 2. Because 98.
I thought the same thing, actually. I remember doing that and thinking, this is strange, but I just kind of plowed through it anyway.
Well, and then the other thing that I raise a question to is the 3 minus 240 times 0.1. There's nowhere in the book that it discusses multiplying by a 0.1. There's a point where you divide by 2 to find the average.
And then time in the screen on the right, it says divide by 2 and then times by 100.
Yeah.
And
So
the
that's
point-
from the book.
And the 0.1 is just the percentage. If you take the number and put it in as a percentage, but the two don't match.
Well, but 0.1 is only 10%.
Right, that's why they don't match. The two don't.
Well, and then you come to the next portion of the equation on the left here, and he completely eliminates the fact that this was ever there.
Right,
You see what I'm saying?
yes, yes.
But this is wrong in the first place. Technically, there should always be a negative number, and then you find but elasticity will always be noted as a positive because it's always the absolute value. But one of them should always be a negative. So then it should be 9,800 minus 10,000. And then it should be negative 200 divided by,
Yes, yes, he did not, you're right.
yeah, this looked completely wrong. But if I plug these same numbers into the equation, I get different answers. So if I plug these numbers, so like gasoline into the book equation, these are the numbers I get. So I don't know. Hopefully
That
that
might just be one that we ask Brotherhood on, because it could go either way. I don't know.
So, and he has not corrected that homework for you? He hasn't given you feedback? I mean, because if you're the only one who has different answers, I would have expected like him to point it out. Maybe he's tricking us to see who catches the mistakes.
well, and it was the same week that we did scams, and so I was like, what's going on? Anyways.
Right. I honestly have not
don't.
completed that part of the assignment. I'm so behind with my homework.
5.4. No, it's not graded yet.
Yeah, mine, I didn't have a number on mine either.
So yeah, I emailed him. I was like, this equation, at the bare minimum, the equation is still wrong.
Yeah. And let me ask you, you guys, do you know when his class is? Because he invited us to join one of his classes. Do you guys know when that is?
It's it's either 4 or 3:30 at the college.
But we cannot connect anyway, right? We had to come in person.
No, I think he said he could meet with us for
Hold on, what is this for? I'm lost.
He, at the beginning of the course, he said that we are always welcome to join his class in person at the campus. But it wasn't clear to me if there was an option for us to connect via Zoom, or if he was offering to meet with us via Zoom just to clarify some concepts.
Yeah, you just have to email him to ask to meet with him on Zoom.
Right.
if you want to.
And
But
I asked on our last one of the assignments, I didn't understand a concept. And I said, I answered all the other questions, but the last one, I said, I don't understand this. This is what I think it is, but I could very easily be incorrect. Maybe I need to come in and meet with you so that you could explain it to me. And his answer back to me was, wait until this week and ask the questions in the personal review.
okay.
So I don't know. Do need to go to his class to get the help.
You could also check.
I'm not
Khan
sure.
Academy and stuff.
I guess it's more just an open invite. If you want to, if you have time to stop by, you can ask him a question. But yeah, he said he's in room 705 Tuesday and Thursday at 3:30 until like 4 when his class starts.
Work.
So
So that's tricky.
So review the activity with the sapphires, how to market. So I guess we didn't have any other terminology we wanted to go over. Okay. So review the activity with the sapphires, how do market conditions affect supply and demand? Review the supply line and demand graphing. What causes the supply to shift left or right? How do you draw a basic graph? And where does the quantity and where does the price go on the graph? Does a shortage of an item cause a right or left shift in supply?
So do we all know how to draw the basic graph?
Mm-hmm. You put 2 lines and 2 lines.
Linear. As
Ooh,
price goes
wow.
up, demand. They just flip flop.
But in supply and demand, the left side's always price and the bottom's always quantity.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So
And
as
the
quantity
equilibrium is
diminishes-
where they connect.
Yeah.
That is market equilibrium.
Yes.
Price equilibrium is where the price meets the bottom or the side. And quantity equilibrium is the bottom one. Or it meets on quantity. I got that wrong on the macroeconomics test. So if it's on here, there you go.
Are you doing that in person or also
No,
online?
That one's online.
Oh man, I'm never doing this math online. Ever. I need to be there and have the teacher explain to me like an elementary school kid. I don't get math.
Does the shortage causes it to shift left, right?
Shortage in
Yeah.
what?
Supply.
In supply? Yeah, it does.
Okay, sweet.
I have to think about it because I'm not looking at a computer right now. Oh.
Yeah, because that would be a change in supply, not just a change in quantity supplied. Right? Yeah. Okay. McDonald's activity. What actions did you take to sustain the profits? We fired people. Some actions may include reducing hours, letting people go, using technology, raising prices, or losing some profit. Who would do the work if people were laid off? The people who were still there and robots.
Yeah, that one makes sense. Basically, like, just apply to your own job. When they start laying people off, why do they do so? So that top dog guys keep them money, profit margins stay the same.
But then it means that those same guys have more work to do. So it is a bit of a catch-22. All right.
Sometimes they just pass it on to the lower people though. They don't do the work themselves.
True. True. Very true.
More often than not.
Review the buying a house assignment. The interest rate is the price. The interest rate is the price.
The interest rate isn't really the price of the house. The interest rate, well, the interest rate is the price you're going to pay in the end, not the price you pay when you want to purchase the house. The interest rate is added to the purchase price of the house to then give you what you're going to pay in
Yeah.
the end, when it gets paid back.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's how much the bank gets from what you did.
Seen amounts. The interest rate continues the same path up or down over a couple of months. How do you draw a graph with interest reducing?
Well, the interest can reduce, the interest rate can go up, or the interest rate can go down. So if you start at a certain point and the interest rate is going down, it's gonna swing to the left.
Hmm.
Or swing down.
Okay.
When the interest rate drops, more people buy a home and more people sell a home because they have less to come up with, down payment, and less to pay over time.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Yep. Makes sense to me. All
I
right.
have luckily purchased quite a few different homes in my life.
I want to buy a home.
Yeah, I envy you. A few homes.
I'd love to own a home, but not
Guys.
right now.
Someday, right, wait for the interest rate to go down a little and the housing market to stabilize.
You know, but it's crazy also. You can afford a house, but also you can afford a rent. So it's like
Right,
stuck in the middle. You know, I'm in the middle of selling my house because of the divorce, and then I don't know where I'm going, and I don't even know I can afford something like this big
Yeah.
with my mortgage. So it's terrible.
and it's that way across the whole country. There are very few states that you can still get a reasonable rate on a house.
The middle of Nebraska.
Right.
Alabama.
Alabama's
Alabama's
cheap,
great.
yeah.
I actually
Alabama's
have
stupid cheap.
Except the
also
only downside
Arkansas.
is Alabama.
Arkansas. I
Alabama's
have.
awful.
You guys know anyone in Arkansas?
Yeah, don't move to Arkansas. Everyone I've ever met from Arkansas is weird. Really weird. Good people, but they're
Okay.
I'm
really weird.
pretty
Okay.
sure it's pronounced Arkansas.
Okay, so
But
I
they'd
have a
probably
lot.
punch you in the face for that.
I have a lot there, and it's a half an acre lot, and it's worth 8,000.
No.
Do you know what? Hang on to it though, because my former father-in-law had quite a bit of land in Rock Springs, Wyoming, the dump of the world. I used to live in Wyoming, so I can say that. But he hung on to it and hung on to it and hung on to it for about 20 years. And when he sold it, he got about $5 million for it.
Oh,
So
wow.
he paid
Judas.
about 20,000 for it originally. So
That's crazy.
land almost always increases. There have been very few times, there might be a few times here, little increments, but land will always increase in cost.
Well, Jennifer, thank you for that, because I was about to give it up to my ex. Just give your land and leave me alone. So no, I'm fighting for that then.
Save it. There's going to be a time when land is going to be worth,
It's
it's going to be hard to get.
it's the idea of scarcity. Yeah, there's only a finite amount of land. Okay. Number 5, what types of items are elastic?
Goods and services are,
Yeah, something that people need regardless of the price.
yes, gasoline is not. oil, and there was one other that we mentioned. I can't remember.
That
now.
isn't or that is?
That is not, that is inelastic. Medicines.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
Well, I have these, I'm a little confused here because to me, elasticity, it says in here that there are goods that are not considered necessities. I mean, food is a necessity, but I guess no.
But you
fast
can
But you
food.
live
have
off of rice and
options.
beans.
Yes, yes.
And the example I read just today was if take fruit, for example, if apples prices go really, really high, then
You don't eat
you're
it.
gonna choose an orange or a banana instead of an apple. So there's still something that you can substitute.
Yeah,
But
so
a
there's
medicine,
substitute.
a medicine, a certain brand of medicine, a certain kind of medicine, and I read insulin, for example, they have to have it to survive, and there isn't a substitute that they can take for it. So
Yeah,
The way I think of it is if there's a generic brand, then it's elastic. If there
Mhm.
isn't, then it's inelastic.
so
Good way to-
gasoline is an elastic, right? I mean, you can go for something else. Oh, I have to
No,
open it up.
No.
because yes, there are other places you can buy it, but it's not a different brand. It's all coming from the same places. You're either getting it from, United States Oil Reserves and the pumps coming out of Texas, or you're getting it from OPEC. There's no other places you're really getting that from.
Well, what I meant is, if you don't have gasoline, there's some cars that can do diesel or electric, but that would not be gasoline, would be something else.
You're thinking more of like cars can be elastic, but gasoline is not.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And then it says, how can you compete with items that are elastic? By being competitive, like your price,
Yeah.
or offering added value to it, like maybe throw some kind of extra like service, like just extended warranty for items, just whatever that is going to give you more value against the competitors.
I think it all just kind of depends on what it is. I mean, some companies, like, they're more expensive, even though prices fluctuate overall, but it's because they're selling a type of quality that other companies can't match. Or they're selling a brand name that everybody wants. So like Nike, yeah, shirts go up and down, but Nike's always going to be expensive because it's something that people view as quality.
Right. So nice that you're doing dishes, Ethan, helping your wife.
Huh?
That's awesome.
Somebody's got to do them.
Good for you.
I may or may not have heard that as she doesn't do them. But don't tell her that, seeing as she's standing right next
Well, I
to
think she's right there.
you. Yeah.
Well, somebody's got to cook and somebody's got to make dinner. And if I ever, imply that she doesn't do dishes, I'll get hit.
Oh, I would prefer do dishes than do make food. Like,
Oh, I'd rather make food any day.
but you know what's the funny thing? I'd rather wash the toilet, scrub the toilet, than do dishes. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
that is weird. That is unusual.
I know. I don't know why I don't like doing dishes. So that's why I'm so impressed that Ethan is doing dishes.
Well, thank you.
Do we want to go over all of the, even though we don't have questions, do we want to just talk through the little, what's in the little graph kind or table, just so that we know we
Oh, the terminology.
explained the term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should
So
we finish
just,
number 6 real quick?
yes, let's finish up, but before,
Oh,
so are
sorry.
we supposed to submit? I'm trying to figure out, but I don't think that we need to submit anything, right? Just a meeting,
We each have to submit the Zoom link.
the Zoom link, okay.
So
Oh,
I
like the
can-
video recording.
Yeah, so I'll text it tonight. That way you can all submit it and get it off your schedule.
Oh my gosh, have
Sweet.
we been doing that every week? Because I haven't.
No, this is the first week.
Okay, phew, because I was like, I thought that someone was doing it for everyone. So I'm just have a, okay. Thank you guys for pointing that out. Yeah, let's do, so we forgot one more question. It says, do elastic or inelastic items change in quantity when the price is raised or lowered? I think they do.
Elastic.
Elastic does. Inelastic usually doesn't. That's why they're inelastic.
Well, inelastic, I would say yes. You know, when gas prices went up, I stopped driving around. So I was not consuming so much gas as before because I couldn't afford it, but I needed the gas to still move to work and drive my kids to work. I mean, to school.
Yeah, so in relativity, inelastic, even though you're using it less, it's relatively stable and the quantity will stay similar. So truly inelastic would be a flat line because the
It
quantity
doesn't get changed.
yeah, wouldn't change for the price. Whereas elastic would be wait, I did those backwards. Anyways. Elastic, the quantity can change infinitely depending on the price.
Yeah, those are the things that can be replaced by others, right? Based on the price.
Yep.
Yeah, I need to look at gas like consumption. My consumption of gas or my driving diminishes because of the gas expense has increased, right? But the gasoline, I don't know, it's kind of a difficult concept to process.
It has nothing to do, I mean, it does have something to do with the consumer, but try not to think of how you consume it. Gas prices
Yeah, that's-
right now are $4 no matter what. It doesn't really
Mhm.
change. But food, for example, can go up. You have the option of buying Great Value cereal or the option of buying General Mills cereal. But so like Great Value is $3 cheaper than General Mills, but gas, no matter what, is $4.
I
So
have an
one
example.
One can change, but the other one can't.
So I have an example. This was even in the news when the gas prices were going up just like every day. There was a gas station here in Pleasant Grove Center Street, and they were not increasing prices. And they did that for a while until they could hold it. Like they were resisting to increase prices. So gas was still $3 when others were at $4 already. And I remember thinking like, how are these guys able to afford that? So they were eating up their profits as long as they could to allow the people, the locals but they put in the news, so everyone started coming. I guess that stopped soon after that news article. But so in that case, I mean, gas is inelastic, but you know, that gas station run out of gas immediately. When the other ones, you know, like across the street, there's Chevron where I go, and I didn't go to that gas station just because my car would not take that gas. It's a different gas. I don't know. I can only have Techron in my gas. So I couldn't take advantage, but I saw like how many people were in line to go and get gas there compared to across the street when I was pumping. So how do you explain that? Gasoline is inelastic, yet that guy was selling more gasoline than the neighbor across the street.
The gas, so they cut into their profit margins because the price of a barrel didn't change. They sold it for cheaper, but the price of the barrel didn't change. So like, because gas is sold by the barrel and then the costs get passed down to us by the gallon. Gas companies buy it by the barrel. or like
So,
kind of, yeah.
so
But
in this,
basically that company they made a bad decision. And like that shows the fact that they went out of business shows that it's inelastic.
I don't think they went out of business, but they literally ate up all the loss, right? Like,
Well,
Well, that's not. They can't maintain that no matter what. Like, because they essentially just said, "Oh well, we're just not going to make any money," because they didn't, because they ate that cost.
well, they
So
did it for
it's-
some time only. They're still in business, like, because I drive by them, they're still running, but they did it for
but
some
they
time.
they can only do that for a limited amount of time because they're losing money. The reason it's inelastic is because they can't, even though they decided to change their prices, they can't change the fact that they're losing money because the cost of gas it's not going to change. Like, you're not getting nobody gets, like a veteran's discount or a senior discount on gas from OPEC or any of the oil producers. You don't. It's the same price. They don't care who you are. That's what you get.
well, and gasoline companies don't make very much profit on their gas sales. When I was young, I worked at a convenience store. I managed a convenience store and we made like 5 cents on every gasoline gallon that we sold. It was really not much.
You make money on the store, not the gas.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I don't even want to know how much money I have spent in convenience stores. It's a ridiculous amount.
Yeah, tell
Why
me
they're
about
called
it.
convenient.
There's a
They are
convenience
convenient.
cost. Like opportunity cost, there's a convenience cost.
True. They're also the only people that carry the amount of caffeine I want every morning. So
Since the pandemic, I cannot never make it to Walmart on time before they close at 11. So because I'm not planning ahead of time, oh shoot, there's no milk for my kids. So I had to run to the gas station, ended up paying like double, triple for a gallon of gas, milk, and water bottles. Oh my goodness, that's so expensive.
yes, it is.
All right. Should we do the number 6, tariffs? How do
Mhm.
tariffs work? Well, the government says this country's got to pay extra money to, the supplies coming from this country have to pay extra money in order to be sold here, in order to make things more competitive.
And this is like a protectionism to protect the company, the local companies from competitors who might have advantages, which they do. I mean, if they're exporting, it's because they have a surplus or they are manufacturing these goods at a great advantage over us, and they can come in with very amazing prices. Like China, labor, super cheap labor, and so there's
$1 a week.
a way to even the ground.
Yes.
So which groups benefit from tariffs and which ones suffer?
The
Depends
government
on the tariff. But yeah, the government always benefits.
benefits and the consumers suffer.
Now we cover the tariffs, we pay more for our products.
So yeah, so that basically answers the last two. Do tariffs create higher or lower prices? Definitely higher. And then we end up ultimately paying the tariffs because, yeah. That was a weird assignment. That was the one where we had to go on that website and look things up, right?
Yeah,
was
that
so
one's kind
annoying.
of cool.
It was kind of cool, but the one I found, like, it took me like forever. I just wanted to find TVs and I couldn't find TVs. So I found like a little like Roku thing, but it was like an off-brand Beijing version of it. Apparently there's no tariffs on it though. They were like, yes, this applies to tariffs. The tariff fee is free. I was like, oh, good to know.
You should expose them.
I suppose then. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, that's those. But Jennifer, you wanted to go over the terms.
I think we should.
Mhm.
Okay.
So wait a second, who's in our group? Because that Chinese, those Chinese characters, who's that?
I guess it's me, right?
Yes, who's
Who is me?
Jesse? Oh, who's that?
Nice to meet you. It's Rian from Japan, and then yeah.
Oh,
Right.
hi.
Nice to meet you guys. Sorry, I should have like introduced myself, but the conversation going really fast, and then I cannot speak English very well, so I'm like, oh.
Oh my gosh, you sound like perfect.
Thank you. That's so
Well, do
nice.
you have any questions since we've kind of been flying through it?
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
Do you have any questions or are you good?
No, do I have? Well, the thing is, the last one, the last quiz, I guess, and then I should have calculate or explain what is the 1 second, I need to search what it's called. Sorry. So the thing is, I don't understand about
Tariffs?
Yeah, that's one. How can I calculate it? Or I don't need to calculate it at the last question, the last quiz. Like it says, the question says, what is the tariffs or stuff like that? Tariffs, yeah, stuff like that. And then I kind of like confused.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jennifer.
There should be a website that you can look up on, if I'm remembering correctly, he gives you the website to look up, and then you have to follow the instructions of where it says to click, and you can kind of narrow down your search to something that you are actually studying, and it will list what the tariff is, the amount or the percentage of what the tariff is.
Oh, okay. I
So
guess
you
I'm
don't
like-
have to figure it, you don't have to calculate it. You just have to narrow down from that website, click on the correct little categories or drop down boxes, and you can then find what it is that you're looking for, or that you're wanting, that you're pretending that you have manufactured.
Oh, okay. I guess I get that. I need to review it.
Okay,
Yeah, we
Thank
don't
you.
we don't really have to calculate the tariffs because the government does that. So
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That helps a lot.
all right. So let's pound through this terminology here. Scarcity. I kind of brought that up. The finite amount of resources available, pretty much.
Yeah, that one's pretty clear cut.
Anyone got anything to add? All right. Who wants to do opportunity cost?
Opportunity cost is essentially what we're willing to give up in order to pay for something. In kind of like a very basic way to say that.
Yeah.
Like I could drive an hour to get a cheaper haircut, but then it's a waste of an hour of my time and my gas. So am I going to do that? No.
Like the convenience store, right?
Yeah. They do
Could I
haircuts
go to-
there now, don't they?
What?
They do haircuts at the convenience store now, don't they?
I wish I would get them all the time. I'd spend a lot more. Yeah. The convenience store has C4 and I like that. And so Could I get it for $1 cheaper somewhere else? 100%. Am I going to? Probably not.
Fair enough. All right. Let's wrap these two up together. Comparative advantage and absolute advantage.
That's what I asked for help on for our personnel review. And Brotherhood did a good job at explaining it.
Yep. Yeah, I kind of saw his explanation. Basically, absolute advantage is the ability to do or produce an item for less resources than someone else. Comparative advantage is being able to do it for a better opportunity cost. So I'm trying to think of a good example here. I know he put a good example. Do you remember what he put on yours, Jennifer?
No, but I'm gonna look it up really fast.
Okay.
Hold on here.
Absolute advantage would be like Hawaii has absolute advantage over
Oh.
Utah in making pineapples, which was his example.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah.
Because it's way easier for them to produce pineapples because they have the resources already there. The climate is good for it, whereas in Utah we'd have to build a greenhouse and build all these supplies in order to produce them.
And let's see, he said for comparative, that the, let's see, the US should use its resources to grow wheat. Should the US use their resources to grow wheat or coffee? And wheat for the US is much easier to grow than the coffee beans. And so, in other words, the US would grow wheat more efficiently than it could grow coffee beans. That's the comparative. Brazil would likely make the coffee choice rather than the wheat. And so he said, absolute advantage is comparing with someone else, and comparative advantage is using your resources most efficiently between two different products.
I also find some way to differentiate, and it says in here, so some examples of competitive advantages are highly skilled labor, unique geographic location, access to new technology, ability to manufacture products at a lower cost, and brand image recognition. So things that other competitors would not have either, but also advantages, like the name says it, that will position you ahead of everyone else. Like thinking about maybe a company who wants to come up with a new juice or something. Of course, Coca-Cola will be able to reproduce that and copy and improve it like overnight, with a company that is just barely starting in the industry, right? Because they already have the technology, the brand image recognition, the skilled labor, so that it would be a competitive advantage, I think.
Yeah. Cool. Any questions on that? Good to go. All right. Supply and demand.
This one says, this is a graph that we did towards the beginning of this semester, kind of as supply. When there's a ton of supply, things tend to be cheaper. And when there is a ton of supply, on the X axis is supply, the Y axis is demand, and then you basically just have like a dot that it's a linear equation. It starts in the top left and goes straight down to the bottom right corner. And you just imagine a dot sliding up and down that line. As demand is super, super high, supply is going to be really low. And when demand is really, really low, supply is going to be high.
And what's the equilibrium on that, Daniel?
Equilibrium is when, I don't know. I think I'll let you answer that.
What is
So
it? Did you remove the image? I don't see it.
No, I never put up an image.
Oh, was it my screen?
I was just
Probably.
I was using such graphic language. I think you saw it.
you just
Oh,
it
no, I
projected in your
I saw
mind.
a graph right here. I'm not making it up.
So
I thought that you were sharing your screen, Brendan.
I'm
Maybe
not.
what's your screen?
I can share the all I have up is the terminology right now. But the equilibrium is going to be where supply and demand meet, where the demand is equal to the supply being given. And so that'll be like your market equilibrium will be right there.
How I see it is like the point of compromise, right? Like we're not going to produce more at a lower price, and we're not gonna buy more at a higher price. It's like when we compromise and get to a kind of common ground. That's how I see it.
Mhm. All right. So now, any questions on that? Okay. Diminishing returns. Who's got thoughts on that?
I had asked about this one. Let me see if someone answered it.
He did actually.
Oh, he did. How kind.
I
And he
have
gave
a,
the example that was
Oh, go ahead.
in the anyways. Sorry.
Oh. Let me see. So I asked what affects diminishing returns, I believe. Oh, I said what can increase diminishing returns? He said diminishing returns are difficult to increase. Think of being hungry and eating a slice of pizza. The first slice is really good, but the second is not quite as good. If you continue to eat pizza, oh yeah, okay, the utility of satisfaction will continue to decrease. Eventually, everyone will become sick or lessen the satisfaction drastically. It would be different for different people. Utility or satisfaction is different for each person. Okay, so just like the more you consume it, the less you want it.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And it's different it's not a standard thing for everybody. It's different for everybody.
It's like all the teenagers who ate Tide Pods.
No,
Definitely
that's
diminishing
stupidity.
returns. Oh, my bad.
I think this applies to everything. Don't you think? Even to fashions and trends, like things lose their value as, that they're more common. And when you use them, like I was thinking about these fidgeting things, the spinners, what are these
Yep.
things?
Yeah,
These
that's
things
what
that
they're called.
spin and everyone was doing it. And I'm like, what is this thing going on? Everyone wanted to have those, and then so they're gone. Like, like once you got it, you didn't care, you used it and you figured out what it is, you felt cool. Oh, I muted myself. Do you guys heard what I said?
Yeah,
No.
we heard you.
Oh, okay.
You kind of just answered utility, kind of. Like once it loses its utility, it's worthless.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah, they
co-
kind of go together.
they're married, yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. Okay. Price floor and price ceiling. Elizabeth, you want to take a stab at what those are?
Yes, I think that we talked about it a little bit in different terms, but the price floor will be the minimum price that perhaps a manufacturer or a supplier will be willing to sell for. And the price ceiling will be the highest price that the consumer will be willing to pay.
So when is a price floor bad?
Because it's very close to possibly the cost, doesn't allow for a profit. And what's the point of manufacturing things, or creating things that you cannot benefit from?
Yeah. Another way to know when a price floor is bad is if the price floor is above the equilibrium price. or market equilibrium. Because if you put it above that, the demand goes down because people can't afford it as much.
But some companies have to compromise on that too. Like just recently, like maybe 3 months ago, I live here in Cedar Hills, and there was a store closing, and they were selling like all the shoes. And seriously, I was buying pairs of shoes for $5, you guys. It was like Christmas. Like I left the place with like 20 boxes and my girls with 20 boxes. And when I paid for everything, it was like $250. But we walked out with like 30 pairs of shoes. It was like Christmas. And I'm sure that they were selling us below the equilibrium price, most likely, right? But they rather get rid of their inventory because they're paying for a storage unit that they're no longer going to be using because they're closed doors for their business, unfortunately. So
I would assume what they had actually done was they had set a price ceiling below market equilibrium. Because if you set it below your price ceiling, all of a sudden you were selling shoes at $50, and all of a sudden your manufacturer says the most you can sell them for is $5. Then your demand skyrockets because your price is now way less than it used to be.
yeah, but I think that this was just getting rid of their inventory. They had already purchased the products. They had them in a warehouse. I went to the warehouse and they were just getting rid of it literally to empty the warehouse.
Yeah. So I think that also ties into sunk cost with what Elizabeth is sharing, because they just took, they knew they couldn't sell those anymore. They were going out anyways. And so they said, we have a sunk cost of all of the money it costs to make these and get them on the shelves and in the warehouse. We just need to get rid of them now. We need to get rid of the inventory. So those were their sunk costs, and they made a profit on what they could.
We're just gonna take whatever we can get for them to sell them.
Mm-hmm. It's like watching a 2-hour movie that was absolutely awful, but you stayed the whole time. That's a sunk cost. 2 hours of your life gone. Horrible. Miserable. All right. We went over tariff. Everybody's comfortable on that. Ethan's so comfortable, he's just digging into the brownie batter. Oh, that's
And he went to Maverick. He got that at Maverick.
He got it at Maverick.
Smith's. It was on discount.
Oh, went to the convenience stores of grocery stores.
Wasn't even convenient. I just really wanted some ice cream.
Nice. All right. We went over elasticity pretty much as well as we could. Yeah. So the last two are minimum and living wage.
You guys didn't hear me because I was muted, but I said, Ethan, that was your price for doing dishes, right?
It was his personal price.
It was a long day at work, and this is how I go back to work tomorrow. Ice cream.
There was an opportunity cost of going home and being depressed or getting ice cream and being happy. And we know which he picked.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Sorry, I still cannot get over you doing dishes. I almost wanted to call my boys, come guys, look, he's doing dishes. And no one is forcing him.
Well, okay,
No.
minimum living wage. Let's finish up. I gotta go to bed.
There's a federal minimum wage and some states have minimum wage. The federal minimum wage is $7.25 right now. You can look up on, just Google federal minimum wage and it will tell you all the different states that have a different minimum wage for themselves. And minimum wage is not something that people can really live off of. They're always going to be needing something, and they're going to have to be giving up something because they don't make enough money. A living wage is something where you need X amount to be able to live, take in your mortgage, your utilities, your ice cream, your gasoline, any of those costs, and figure that in, and that's what your living wage would be.
So why can't minimum wage be living wage?
It messes
Good.
everything up, man.
Like
Like
what?
gas in California is $7 a gallon.
Exactly.
And is their minimum wage even technically living wage now?
No, it just pushes the bar.
Yeah. The avalanche effect from forcing an increase to minimum wage just moves it back down below living wage because everything will increase afterward.
Well, and people lose their jobs if
Yeah.
you increase the minimum wage.
Yeah, if people want to retain their profit margins but don't want to change their like prices, that means they lose people, which is what we did in the McDonald's activity. So
Exactly.
Okay, so let me bring something to this picture. So I was at Walmart last night and it was 11. Like I told you guys, I missed my shopping. And I was being kicked out of the store because I had a lot of groceries. And the lady, the manager, was like kicking me out of the store. Like she pretty much forced me to go through the self-checkout because I was in line to get through the only cashiers that would do my groceries for me. And she was very upset at me, like, that's a lot, and we closed. But the point is that I complained about it and they said, we don't have workers. I said, well, if you're so concerned to get me out of the store, just open another line and check all my groceries for me and let's get done. I want to go home too. And she was just complaining that no one wants to work. They're offering them so much money to work and no one wants to work. So, you know, like talking about minimum wage, I mean, right now, companies are having a hard time to keep their employees working.
well, and they're
After
hiring, but they're
pandemic, something
hiring,
happened.
but they're hiring for more than minimum wage. I mean,
Right.
Walmart, for example, their night stalkers get paid, I think, $18.50 an hour.
Right.
In Utah, minimum wage is federal minimum wage, which is $7.25, but people choose not to do that job.
Right. People
And
just
even
don't
then,
want to work.
if you're paying above the minimum wage, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can live off of it either.
Which is
Like,
also correct.
you got to
yeah.
be making, if you're married, you got to be making both at least $20 an hour to live comfortably.
Yeah. Anyway,
Right now too, Elizabeth, the problem, you see signs all over now hiring.
Right.
And it's people just aren't applying for the jobs. It's
No.
not because there are some that are paying a lot more than others. Even those that are paying a lot more are still hurting for employees because since COVID, people don't want to work really. is what it's
Yes.
down to.
I've
see
seen
that
it a lot
crisis.
in like younger children, like we're just hitting 16 and who can start working. When I was 16, I was working. I got a job, right? I was working. I've worked since I turned 16, except when I was on my mission, but that's different kind of work. But that's just what you do. But now I have like my little brother who keeps switching jobs. He keeps switching jobs because his job doesn't pay enough. But they're
How much was he-
they're the population who are supposed to fill minimum wage jobs. And
Right.
they're refusing to work them.
Yes. Yes.
Even though they don't need to make more than a minimum wage.
I know, and that is my story with my teenagers. My 17-year-old, she's making $18 an hour and she's not happy. I'm like, you have no idea. that you're
Because of
making a
how
lot of
much
money, more than adults are making in some jobs right now.
because of how much that these companies have increased above minimum wage, the current generation assumes that they deserve more than they do. Simply put, I mean, they expect to get paid $15, $20, $25 an hour for a high school diploma. When
Right.
in reality, that's not going to cut it. You need experience. You need at least some schooling, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I'm seeing a lot of people who have like office jobs where you're making a lot of money. But like the lady last night at Walmart, my cashiers, finally got to her and talked to her. And I said, what is going on, you guys, with Walmart? And And she tells me, this is my second job. I have another office. So she's working at Walmart because she's making like 18 or $19. I don't know. Cashiers make more money than the staff, the people who stocks the aisles. And she's making almost about the same money working at Walmart than working at her office job, like, you know, loan officer or a business administrator. I don't know what it is, but they are paying you a lot of money, but people are not taking the job. She says no one wants to work tonight.
Yep. So anyway, fun stuff. Anything else anyone wants to cover about the test?
I'm concerned about my test.
Oh, I just assume I'm gonna fail it, because then if I do better, it's just a great surprise. Trust me,
Maybe
it
we
works every time.
we should advocate for a group test. And
That'd
we
be-
just help
that'd be
each other, at least a test of the test, and then we go alone.
That'd be nice.
Daniel, you're too quiet. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Nah, I think if you study the stuff, it's only like what I think it's like 20 questions. The test, not too bad.
23. But what concerns me is how much like detail some of the pre-week quizzes have required
Yes.
that are like worth 10 points. So
Well, the
Yeah.
graphing and the equations scare me, honestly. The concepts, I'm fine with that, you know, but all the math is like crazy.
I hate the graphing. I
Yeah, the graphics, me
absolutely
too.
despise it.
A quick
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
How long it takes for each test, like a midterm or like final? Because this is my first semester in and I don't even know. It's gonna be my first time to take test.
Good question. It looks like this one doesn't have a time limit. Some tests do. So I had one the other day that I had a 3-hour time limit, and I took 2 hours and 45 minutes of it. And I didn't plan on that, but once you get into it, you just kind of get lost in the test sometimes. But this one's 23 questions, 60 points. So make sure when you're going through them, read all the questions before you start answering them. And then answer the ones you know first, and then the harder ones after. And then just make sure that you spend time, because I'm sure some of the questions will be worth more points than others with his test. So make sure that you take time on the ones that are worth more points to really focus on those. Make sure you get those ones right.
That's actually helps a lot. Thank you.
Yeah,
If
for
you're
sure.
lucky, at Ensign, most classes, at least for me, most classes don't have midterms or finals.
It's
Usually
really
Right.
a big
just the
project.
full online classes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Although if you
Okay.
do the in-person, there's like 10 group projects. So it's
Right.
what do
Yeah.
you want to do?
And do you guys know, because I remember hearing about tutoring services. Are we able to access those before the test, you think?
Yeah, the tutoring is available, I think, Monday through Friday.
Because that helped me a lot once before, like a math test. This guy was amazing. He like, I wanted to hire him forever as my math teacher. He was so good, so simple, so patient. Yeah. So I'm wondering if I can squeeze a tutoring class just before the test. I'm just nervous.
So let's see. So I'll put this link in the chat here, but that's just the link to the website for tutoring, and it gives you details on getting a tutor and so on. And you can schedule an appointment to do it through Zoom. They'll answer questions for you, and you do it based on the subject. So they usually come in knowing what they're doing, and if not, they usually have I think it's a missionary who's normally in the tutoring center who helps out these tutors. So yeah.
Well, if anyone wants to join me, we can maybe do a group. You know, we can just in the chat, you know, if anyone gets with a tutor. I mean, because I'm thinking that we're struggling on the same topics, right? The equations, like I would like someone to review that problem with me, like, you know, to figure that out or bring other examples. Maybe from the book. I haven't looked into the book or any extras, but I'm sure that we can Google some examples and just go through those.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised that he didn't have a like a practice exam or anything like that. So I'd assume it's open book if there's no practice exam. But so that helps too if you have the book open.
Right. Well, thank you, everyone. This helps a lot as
Yeah.
a preparation for the test.
Mhm. Great, thank you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so
Good night, y'all.
much.
See ya.
Good
Hey,
night.
guys, everybody
night.
do well on the
Oh,
test.
and you guys are gonna post the link, right? Or is it just the same as we used to meet? No.
Daniel,
I'm gonna text you the link and it'll probably take like 30 or 40 minutes to download.
Okay.
And then you have to post it.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, cool.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate it.
No
Thank you
problem.
for all your work, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.